I am really excited to be here. You know, over the past weeks, I have passed this piece of Seattle history many times, and just really excited that I get to be part of unveiling it to the city. Yes, so it's great to be here with all of you to celebrate the completion of the Bell Street Improvements Project. Today is about how we come together as a city. Bell Street now connects Belltown to the waterfront, and you can feel the difference. Whether you're walking, biking, or spending time along the way, this is how we build a downtown that feels connected and alive. A place where people want to be and return to. This is where you meet a friend after work, where families head to the waterfront on a weekend, where someone visiting Seattle starts to understand what this city is all about. Seattle is at its best when our public spaces bring us together. That sense of belonging matters. And that's exactly what we are building here. Spaces that are open, shared, and easy to enjoy with your friends and neighbors. This project reflects a shared vision. Neighbors, community organizations, and local businesses helped to shape it from the beginning through design to completion. Thank you to Belltown United and to the Belltown Community Council for your partnership. And thank you to Angela Brady and the entire project team for seeing this through. As Seattle continues to grow, these connections bring neighborhoods closer together. They support the small businesses that make this area so vibrant, and they make it easier for people to get around in ways that are simple and sustainable. And they help to show off what makes this city special. So I hope that people come down here, spend time here, and enjoy the area, because this is what we're creating. Not just infrastructure, but places that people can return to again and again. So thank you all for being here today. I would now like to invite Angela Brady, Acting Director of the Seattle Department of Transportation, to share a few words. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Angie Brady. I'm the Acting Director of the Seattle DOT and the former Director of City's Office of the Waterfront and Civic Projects. We're incredibly excited to be here today to celebrate another milestone in one of Waterfront Seattle's final celebrations, the completion of our Bell Street Improvements Project. This is the last project in the Waterfront Seattle Program, Tears, alligator tears. But super excited to be here today. This project is part of our efforts to connect the city's new 20-acre Waterfront Park to Seattle's unique downtown neighborhoods, like here in Belltown. Our team has worked for many years with, where's Tom Graff? He felt the pain, worked with us, there he goes, and other members of the community on the scope of work for this project. I tell people a lot, that they're like, why is Belltown so excited about this? It's only 2 blocks. And I say, no. They love this project so much. We had so many of you show up and voice your opinions about what we should build here. So it was really great to work with you all on this. During one of the early public briefings on this project in February 23, we had 51 neighbors show up. And that just shows us how engaged the Belltown community is in your neighborhood. Today we celebrate the enhancements to Bell Street between Elliott and First Avenues. With this project, we've dedicated more space to people walking, biking, and rolling through downtown Belltown. Belltown, what am I thinking? I was just in Bellevue celebrating East Link, so I've got Bellevue. Okay, so what we did was here we added we had a new 2-way protected bike lanes connecting the Bell Street Greenway to the east to the newly built bike improvements along Elliott Way to the west, right behind me. We've widened sidewalks with more space for pedestrians traveling to and through the area. We've installed boulder seating, some of which are being sat on at this moment, for passersby to pause on Bell Street's steep incline and enjoying the stunning views of Elliott Bay, Mount Rainier, and the new Waterfront Park. And we built curb bulbs at intersections to calm the traffic. And something I know people are really excited about, right behind me here, we salvaged, restored, and installed a historic Alaskan Way Viaduct sign bridge, which you can see arching over Bell Street right behind me. The sign bridge is enhanced with lighting to support nighttime visibility and will serve as a gateway to Belltown, while also providing a really cool reminder of the viaduct that used to be here, memorializing a unique piece of Seattle's transportation history. Celebrating this project is especially exciting because it is connected to several other projects, which I now oversee in my new role as Transportation Director. Earlier today, we held our first public information session about upcoming plans to pave, modernize, and improve mobility on both Elliott Avenue and Western Avenue, all the way from Bell Street up to Thomas. We'll soon be starting construction on the Belltown to Seattle Center Connection project, which will be completed by this June ahead of FIFA World Cup. And in Pioneer Square, to the south of us, we're wrapping up our work on Yesler Way, the protected bike lane, another one of the final pieces of the puzzle to connect our new waterfront bike lanes to the rest of the downtown bike network. So super excited to get that done ahead of FIFA World Cup as well. Thank you so much again to the community members and the Belltown Community Council who helped shape and champion this project. This group of people care deeply about their community, and it shows. Thank you to the businesses and the neighbors who were patient and supported this project and the rest of the Waterfront Seattle Program construction throughout the last several years. Thank you to the mayor and city council for their support as well. And a special shout out to Guy Michelson and Marshall Foster for championing or helping to champion the Viaduct Sign Bridge, and also to Gary Johnson. Thank you. Yes, I don't know if is Guy here? He's usually the tall guy standing somewhere. And to Gary Johnson as well for willingly scheming up a plan with others on ways to dress it up with new signage. So that's going to be really exciting in the future. And many thanks, last but not least, to the entire Waterfront Seattle team, especially Barbara Lee, Waterfront Program Director now, Richard Schleicher, our project manager for Bell Street, who managed this project through construction, the design team, Jacob Civil, our engineering team, GGN, who did the urban design, Jackson and Ryan with Enviro Issues, who worked closely with the community as we designed and built this project, and Titan Earthworks, our contractor who built our design very beautifully. And as well as our construction management team, Jody Robinson, we got Bo and Matthew, our resident engineers. I hope they're here. Thank you all. It takes a village, small village, but a village to build some of these projects. So really appreciate your help on this. And I look forward to continuing to work with the Belltown community on other multimodal projects that SDOT is spearheading. And to continue to strengthen our city's bike and pedestrian network and accessible pathways. So thank you so much. With that, I'm going to introduce none other than Councilmember Kettle, Bob Kettle, another champion of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Brady. It is a beautiful view of Belltown here, and from Belltown as you see the water. So I want to thank the entire SDOT team. They do so much work. I was down here many times as they were progressing through this project, and please thank them for all the work that they've done. Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to say, first, I thank you to Belltown United. We got Tom Graff there, but also Belltown Community Council. We got Xander over here. Is everybody that's associated with Belltown United or Belltown Community Council, can you raise your hands? Yeah, there's a lot of folks here. You know, we've been having some challenges here in Belltown. We've been working them, but today's a beautiful day, and it's about taking action to help Belltown, to help the community, to help the neighborhood. And I want to thank those two organizations primarily, but also other groups like Cascade Bicycle Club, Seattle Neighborhood Greenways, now the Streets Alliance. You know, there's a shout out there, Neighborhood Street Alliance. I'm still working on that, by the way. But other organizations like Market to Mohi. And I really want to emphasize Market to Mohi because one of the things that we see in our city, basically, we've been a north-south oriented city, whether it's I-5, 99, even now with the Sound Transit, north-south, although we obviously just had a big east-west connection. But we've always been north-south. And I think it's super important to really build those east-west connections. And that's what this project does. It connects Belltown to the waterfront, but even further beyond that. And that's why I wanted to highlight Market to Mohi and all the work that group has done. You know, again, we need to build this out. We need to build our neighborhoods for all the reasons that we know, to build, that life, that community well-being. And I think we're doing that. Again, we have our challenges, but we're going to move forward. And this has been a beautiful project. The sign bridge behind us is unbelievable, and it just adds that extra character. And it's also a connection from the Elliott Bay Connection Park. Our Waterfront Park, Elliott Bay Connections. And I'm doing this as a shout out, sorry, Mayor, to highlight the Pirtle Park it's so important to really push in terms of building Portal Park. I knew that would be a cloud pleaser with the Belltown crowd, but this is a big project and a lot of work that we need to do and that we have done and moving forward. So thank you for that second sense of applause. So again, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And now I will turn it over to none other than Lee Lambert.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Lee Lambert. I'm the Executive Director of Cascade Bicycle Club. And I'm just so excited to be here about this, to see this critical connection of our bike network. And we've heard what it does and where it comes from. So I want to talk a little about the people it's going to impact. Your bike ride is only as safe as its most dangerous part. And these concrete protected bike lanes in this short gap, this east-west gap, will really make the Seattle bike network more usable. This one. Wrong mic. I said some amazing things. This really makes the Seattle bike network more usable. And so I just want to talk about a person that this will impact. And it's a little bit self-serving because it's one of our staff members. But in her bike commute from West Seattle to Magnuson Park, this makes her life a little easier. She was so excited when she found out I was coming here today. She's like, I've been using this little pathway and it lowers the stress of her 14-mile one-way bike commute. We have some super users at Cascade. Not everyone commutes 14 miles on their e-bike to work, but as an example of if we want more people to ride bikes in Seattle, we want to do mode shift. We need to make these what appear to be small but high impact connections that connect the other major parts of our bike network, whether it's the Waterfront to the Burt Gilman or the 2nd or 4th Avenue bike lanes for people commuting downtown. So we're excited to have this piece opening. We're looking forward to the Yesler Way opening and more, as the councilman said, more east-west connections. I'd like to now introduce John Kiehnau from Belltown United to give a few remarks. Thank you very much.
So before I begin, I have to ask a favor of all of you. So I want to take two pictures. So the first one, this one's for my mom. There you go. And the second picture, if you know me already, raise your hand. Wow, that's so cool. All right, so I want to say welcome to everybody. Yeah, I know that selfie thing, but I'm not good at that. I'm going old school with some index cards. I want to welcome everybody who's here. Quite a few people have already been called out, but I do have to say that I'm here as a small business owner in Pike Place Market. I'm active in this neighborhood because I just live a few blocks away. And when I got here, I got involved in something called Growing Vine Street, which was a 1990s effort to create a wander through Belltown. And from the time that Growing Vine Street started till now, Belltown rapidly grew, and it's now Seattle's most densely populated neighborhood, which means that there are a lot of demands on it. And the idea about this park street came from the idea that new parkland was unaffordable, and we could have city departments, public utilities, parks, Seattle Department of Transportation work together to create a space that would welcome the public. So here we have this wonderful example of a street that functions as a street, it functions as a pedestrian way, a place to sit down on the rocks, and a place to kind of enjoy your city. So this was a dream that started in the early aughts, and community groups got together, as Angie was saying, and remarkably held the course till the first part of the operation was built, and now finally this last 2 blocks is included in this street. We're close to a thing that we call Portal Park. We call it Portal Park because it's a piece of land that is under the control of Seattle Department of Transportation, but our hope is that one day it becomes an actual park, adding only to this passageway. Is Buster Simpson here? We should, I do want to make a quick shout out to an artist who is named Buster Simpson, who did remarkable things in Belltown to bring art and nature down to the street level. He does a lot of work. Check him out on his website, bustersimpson.net. But he does a lot of work that makes political statements about climate change, the current administration, ICE, lots of things like that that one or two people here are probably interested in. We've been through multiple mayors, and in fact, I'm so glad you're here because I learned today that Seattle has no term limits for mayors. So you could serve 8 or 10 terms as mayor. So hopefully we're back here one day doing that. So the idea of bringing art onto the street was really behind a bit of capturing the sign bridge. And I don't know if there's a better word for it than sign bridge. I think that sign bridge is kind of a technical term. But the first person who brought this idea that I was in the room was Marshall Foster. And I can't emphasize enough, Marshall, how amazing you were to persist on this. I know that its journey to be here before you, restored and fitting the street and even lighted at night, it's gorgeous. It took a lot of turns and a lot of people who were like, what? Let's put that into the scrap heap. But it was saved. And it also adorns the street, which was, in the beginning, a way to take the Denny Regrade dog park and to change the conversation there. It used to be a drug place, and today it's not. It's been brought back to life. And one of the partners in that is the Downtown Seattle Association and the MID. If it wasn't for their constant care, this part of the street and that part of the street would look very different. So I do want to say thank you to them. Lots of cooperation, and I'm not the one to tell the story. I only arrived here like 15 years ago, so my understanding that was building the street took this remarkable cooperation never heard of before. Department of Neighborhoods, Parks, Transportation, and for all of us that don't even realize this, under these streets, there's like an entirely very complicated system, and that requires a lot of thoughtful care. So the groups that worked on it, including Hewitt and Mig and a lot of other people, brought this forward. So back to the sign bridge, and I'll start to wind up. I'm on page 6, but getting close. We started when we knew that the viaduct was going to be torn down and the tunnel would be no longer needed. A group of us got about 1,200 people together, and we tried to stop filling in the tunnel. So we called it Recharge the Battery. And the idea was that the tunnel could one day become an art walk or a wine cave or a place for food and drink and music. Well, it got filled in, but the group that was behind that refocused its efforts here on the 2 acres that you see to your right. We're still very excited that that can go forward, especially with this symbol of the past and kind of an optimistic look for the future. One of the things about making this space work is definitely to enforce laws. So laws about drug use, public consumption, and camping. So just 12 hours ago, there were tents here. Now, for a week, members of the community and the city did outreach, and the people living in those tents said, nope, I'm good, I want to stay here. So for all of us to be able to enjoy places like this, we all have to feel safe. So I guess the message here is, we need to feel safe, and I don't have the answers for that, but I know that a lot of people here don't feel safe. And some of the investments here were lighting sidewalks, which I learned in the last 15 years is not the common purpose of street lighting. It's for the streets, the byways. So I just want to wrap up by just saying, like, this, where we are today is a result of dreamers, about visionaries, and actually people who do work and make things happen, and I'm really grateful. And I hope I'm back for your 6th term. That would be awesome. Thank you, everybody. Oh, and I want to bring to the podium Amy Tipton, who runs the wonderful Slip Gallery, where I hope we'll see all of you after this.
Mine's a little short and sweet, but I feel like there's a trend to bring up Tom Graff. So I'm going to do that and add that to my speech. I've had a business at First and Bell for the last 13 years, so this is like my commute to work. In early 2013, Tom Graff put the daffodils in the beginnings of the Bell Street Park across from First Avenue. And now it's all done. I mean, it took a lot, and there have been lots of changes since then, but thanks, Tom. Shout out to Belltown United. And what a welcome improvement. And this is a great accomplishment. And these guys have been working on this for a while. It looks beautiful. We have greenery, we have wider sidewalks. We're now going to have more lighting. Before this project, people used these 2 blocks as a way to get to somewhere else. But now this is a place where people can gather and linger. We love, thank you.
That's an applause line.
Yeah, we have places to sit and hang out. We love seeing the new wider sidewalk and green plants. It's bringing more people from the waterfront to Slip Gallery, which is awesome. And I know that our neighbors at Mixed Pantry are really excited about it too, because they're seeing more customers come up the street. As a side note, shout out to the Belltown Mural Festival, because we have beautiful art along the way to the water. And then finally, on a personal note, I want to share this story. When my stepdaughter Frankie was young, she would travel between her mom's house in West Seattle and our house in Belltown. We always took the viaduct along the way and exited at Western Avenue. Frankie called the viaduct the Daddy Highway. So cute. Frankie is now grown and living in LA, and the viaduct is gone. But now on my walk to work, I see families going to and from the waterfront and creating new memories at this same gateway in Belltown, which is a piece of the Daddy Highway. Thank you, Seattle. We love this.
You guys.
Wait, where's Timmy B?